Wow. Yeah, I know. Oh, don't play that. I know what you're all thinking. 7, you haven't fixed it on the page yet. 7, fix it on the page. I'm getting there. I get caught up in an email. Emails are just the bane of life. But I have so many, and I always have to do them, turns out. Alrighty. Awesome. There we go. Yay. Somebody named me fixed it, and now it works. It works. Ha 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 ha. Let's see. Chat and stats? What are stats? Ooh. Those are useless to me. Oh, hi people. I didn't have the chat showing yet, so I didn't actually see that there were actually people talking to me. Hello. How y'all doing, my dear friends? John, Laura, good evening. Good evening. I don't know what happened to my camera setup. It's not how it was earlier. It had a much better view of everything. And I'm like, why is that? And what have I done different since just this morning? It's like, it was not long ago enough that anything should have changed. Ha 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 ha. There we go. That's better. At least you can see all the text almost. If only I could make this taller. Maybe that's my secret next up. Oh yeah, I need to take off my glasses or else I just reflect at the camera so much. All right. Well, guess who is generally kind of actually ready now, but who did not WD-40 their office chair like I said I would. I did, however, do something really cool since this morning, which, okay, are you ready? You ready? Whoa. I can zoom and make the reading area bigger. I know that for a lot of people it's probably like oh well, that's cool, I guess. But for me, I'm like, this is life changing. Um, I'm not like a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or anything, so for me, it's a pretty big deal that I apparently figured out how to do different scene overlays. This cord didn't used to hang in camera. It looks terrible. How did I make this happen? Hi, Ethan. What would make me include the chaos die in a reading? What would make me? Probably nothing. The chaos die is just not for me. It is for backers who really liked it in the original edition, and so it came back. I just don't. It's not for me. You know, that happens sometimes with projects that I make where I include things that are explicitly for my folks out there, and it's just like this isn't a thing that I care about. But what would make me do it? I would do it if y'all asked for it in these readings. But I would actually probably have to pull out the guidebook for some of these faces because I never use it. I'm the way that we did the faces on the chaos die in the second edition was actually by voting. So backers actually helped to determine what die faces were on here, and because I have continued to just never use it ever, not even for a single reading, I don't know what the faces mean anymore. It's been a few years, and I don't actually know. Like, I know I have the clown face, and I'm like, that's really fun. I don't know what it does. This is just basically to me not a part of the dice set. But I know some people really, really love it, and so it exists. I'm actually gonna be honest. I feel the same way about the astrology die in the new set. Um, Astrology isn't super for me. I don't know much about astrology. So in the Keykeeper set, which will also have a D12 like this, I probably won't use that one either. But I know that a ton of people will. So I am more than happy to include. But yeah, if you would like me to read with it, I will do it. I will literally have to grab one of the guidebooks that, I wrote to remind myself what it does. But yeah, I'd be happy to if you want. Good evening, B&W. So, hello, y'all. It's been a little bit. I have hopefully sent out a lot of cool communications to people who care about Oracle dice. Other than that, I don't know. I'm just hanging out. So if anyone has questions about the project, questions about the Hot Housewives Tarot or the Misery Tarot, this morning I actually did a reading from each deck. So I popped out the Misery Tarot. And the Hot Housewives Tarot is a little less exciting to look at because I don't have a print of it. But I'm happy to do a reading with that if you're so moved. Otherwise, I have been having a lot of fun grabbing random dice without even planning and rolling dice questions for people. So if anyone has any, I'm super duper into that. Just let me know. Hello, Aisha. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just here for you. So speaking of dice, until people have some questions, I'm going to grab some random dice. Looking at the camera, I literally don't know what I'm grabbing. I can kind of feel them, I guess. I'm just going to roll a random reading, and we'll see what kind of answers we have for someone. There's nothing in the core. When you're doing a reading on the Seasons grid in particular, the core really starts you off with understanding what the reading is sort of about. And when there is no core like this, then we move straight on to Mind, or the spring quarter here. Hi, Zamilla. We have Time, and we have the Schooner. It seems like you are in a space where you're thinking about how much limited time you might have with found family, dear friends, or maybe you're going on a journey in some way. I don't know if it's literally going anywhere, but you're definitely on like a current journey in your life where you're experiencing a new group of people in a new way. But it's like coming to a close. And that feels a little maybe bittersweet. Over here, I have Fuel. The die face is Lavender, and it's out in spring and tagging to Within. This is telling me that you are probably in this really lovely, calming space, thanks to this journey that you've been able to have and these people you've been able to engage with. Out here in summer, I have Wounds die. This is Poison. It's telling me that the things that you put out into the world maybe are starting to feel a little rotten in some way. You've maybe just done a lot of different work that feels like it's added up to a form of poison, right? Like you've done a lot of things that no longer sit super well with you. And as a result, you feel like maybe it's just not serving you anymore. In Autumn, we have Fell's die. This is the Queen of the Night. It's telling me very similar to what was happening in Mind, but this is showing that it's material reality, that what space you're in, the people you're spending time with are really transient and leaving quickly. And because you're running out of that time, that makes you feel a little bit like you're losing out. Over in Spirit, I see Home and Emergence, telling me that you're going to have to accept the exchange of what you considered home. What you've maybe shared as home with other people at this time is definitely coming to a close. And honestly, the experience of home changing places, especially when it's a group of people, that's hugely going to take you away. that was just a fun little random reading. If anyone has any questions, I'm always happy to do a reading for them. I do have the most important question, perhaps of all here. Zamilla is asking, where is Tom? For people who do not yet know, Tom Bombadil is my sweet baby boy. Uh, and Tom Bombadil is probably sitting by his automatic feeder, hoping for it to dispense soon. So not here right now, but we will be on here for 2 hours. We'll be here before his food dispenses and after, and I'm betting after it dispenses, he will be coming back. Yeah, Alexis, exactly. Haha, yeah, dice, whatever. Anyways, where's the cat? 7, where's the cat? Bring back the cat. I don't blame you. I also love my cat. Aisha, that's funny. I have a question about moving to a new place soon, hopefully this summer. That is pretty wild, Aisha. Because I just had a reading for nobody, so it was a message for someone. Yeah, I'm happy to give you a reading about that. Alexis, you're asking about the Hot Housewives Tarot. I also be more than happy to talk about that a little bit. The Hot Housewives Tarot, you can, of course, check the Kickstarter, which has a bunch of information on it. But the whole deal behind the Hot Housewives Tarot is it is a collage deck with foil fronts. Let me drop boop doop doop image. Oh wait, yeah. It thinks I already have them. Oh, they were over here. What about that? Yeah. Here we go. These are 3 of the suits for the Hot Housewives Tarot, which gives you kind of an idea behind them. They're kind of approaching the ideas that were really prevalent in 50s America, and a lot of the nostalgia that people have for the concept of 50s America. This like really nice, homey, friendly place with, apple pies on the windows and good, sensible music on the radio. When kids were kids and men were men, blah, blah, blah. It really digs into those ideas. The suits are not your traditional suits, but the Major Arcana is, and it basically is exploring social life and how you relate to the social world that you live in. And it's a really fantastically unique deck. So for the Hot Housewives Tarot, you could pre-order it on the Kickstarter if you wanted, but you also can just order it here on the Goblins Oracle Dice Project. It is an add-on, both the standard edition and the deluxe edition. My general goal is that I will have the Misery Tarot ready to manufacture first. All that it's really waiting for is me. I have to finish the guidebook. And then the Hot Housewives Tarot will be the next thing that goes up to manufacturing, and then the Oracle Dice. And once all these things are done, we'll be shipping things out like as they finish. So if someone only ordered the Misery Tarot, they'd get that as it finishes. But yeah. So yeah, you can go ahead and order it on this project. You can order it on the Kickstarter. I'm basically going to be closing that and just moving all the backers from it to this project. So there's no real need for you to back it over there. You might as well just do it here because I'm going to be merging pledges. All right. Yeah, Aisha, let's take a look about moving to a new place. I'm grabbing just a random handful of dice. It's kind of a number of them. Oh my gosh, I have the chaos die, and I'm not going to remove it. I grabbed it. I have to read it. All right, first of all, it's telling me to re-roll the nearest die. It hit another die. We will accept what it re-rolled. All right, thanks. Go away, chaos die. In the core here, we have the demon face, and we also have the spider lily from Sin's die. The dice that have the stickers on them like this, these are my like prototype dice that I've been reading with for the new Keykeeper set, because obviously they don't exist yet, so I have just been putting stickers on dice and using those. All right. So the spider lily is hugely about your relationship to letting things go. specifically in parts of Southeast Asia and definitely in Japan. I believe China. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there. Spider lilies are hugely associated with funerals, so it's kind of like a death face or a death card, but its main focus is in the living's relationship to the dead, rather than the idea that something's leaving. Um, so it looks like these two together really suggest to me that Aisha, moving for you is kind of this huge task of accepting like the loss of what you have. You seem really excited about moving, so I'm wondering if this is something that you maybe haven't quite fully confronted yet. And it's not to say like moving is bad, it's just like what you're letting go of is pretty big, and I don't know if you fully understand yet until you move to this new place. I don't know, there's something going on there. In mind, I see dance on the play dice, and I also see the trash man, and those two are like fully side by side. The trash man it's on the creature die. It's usually about other people. It's usually about like things you have to face. But the trash man is, I think, the nice face of that die. And it has the idea of there are people in your space who are willing to shoulder some burdens for you. But it's paired with dance, and dance is usually also quite positive. It's about things like going really well. I do see the path over here, and the way it's turned shows that your paths are either leading to this or going out into a broader spring, which is open. There's no dice there. Trash man with dance is so bizarre. It's like someone's helping you carry the equal burden of your joy, which makes me wonder if the things you're really excited about with moving are also coming with some heartache, or maybe heartache for other people. Is your move like taking you away from other people, maybe, and you're like kind of shouldering the burden of that frustration with them? I don't know. You probably have a better answer than I do about that one, because I don't know what's actually happening in your life. Over here in body, we have good intentions with the 4. 4 is a really great number. It's very, very balanced and stationary. It's talking about sturdy foundations. It looks like someone may be feigning a smile right now. Because this is body is usually how you're relating to the rest of the world and what you're doing. So I'm wondering if you're faking a little bit of a smile in this movement. So that's interesting. There's nothing immaterial really. The spider lily verges on that. So I would say the spider lily definitely is relating to other people and other places, which isn't a surprise because I said at the start, this probably is like you're moving away from other people and it feels like you're really losing something in some way. You're moving to your own place. Yeah, I could see that being like you're losing connection and community in some way. And so it's something you won't fully understand until you're there and you feel like, yes, this is mine, but also like, oh, it's a little bit lonely. Doesn't mean that it's always going to be lonely, but it'll probably be a little lonely if you're used to other people. In spirit, I am seeing loyalty to yourself, the mouth wound or the tongue wound, and focus. As part of this movement, you're definitely like sticking to a sense of loyalty to yourself, of creating a space that's for you in a really positive and personal way. You're not going to have to share the space, as much. And I'm also seeing, though, that you don't feel like you can talk about that. I'm wondering if there are things that you're leaving unsaid in moving out onto your own place, about why it's really important to you to be alone in your own place. I'm wondering if that is something that you're like really holding, and until that comes out, maybe it will be difficult to face what some of the stuff is that's going on in the background. I'm also seeing this like super focus here in your spirit, which tells me that this is something you super duper wanted. It's good that you're doing it, but it also is leaving you in a space where you're not thinking about a lot of other things because you're really focused on the idea of when I have my own place, I can finally blank. When I have my own place, I can finally do this, that. When I have my own place, I don't have to worry about this thing that other people keep doing that I'm annoyed by. So it seems like it's a little complex. It's what you want, but I would say like there's a little bit here about kind of putting on a fake smile about it that makes me wonder if there's some like root issues you might want to solve before you leave, so that there's no hard feelings on the way out, and also so that like when you go into your new place, it feels like a really good fresh start. That could be nice. The chaos die. It heard me say I'd never read with it, and it was like, you have to pick me up, you fool. Zamilla, I have a question. Will Trump really try to force to annex Greenland? Man, who knows? Right? Like, I'm like, do I want to do that? Is that what I want to do with my time? Maybe. Wait, what's going on here? We can't see the number. I failed. Somehow I moved this. I don't know how I did that. We're moving that back. I was like, I can't see the campaign funds raised. That's my energy. Do I want to do a reading for whether or not Trump will really try to annex Greenland? Do I want to do a reading about Trump at all? Except for, like, the reading a lot of us are waiting for. All right. Will Trump do incredibly dumb things? He'll probably always try to do dumb things. Is the easy one there. In his mind, he has peace, and it's an obstacle because he doesn't want peace. There's love tied to it. Of course there is. He's like an occultive personality. He just hopes everyone likes him. He's super anxious about what he's dealing with. He has no fucking thoughts in his head. His actions are completely like without any focus or particular energy. That's the void here, which is just telling me like what he's doing is just completely untouched by anything else. He's just going. He's vibing, but in like the worst ways possible for the rest of us on Earth. We do have raise here, which tells me that his general goal is to raise a lot of things to the ground and start from bare bones. The disrepair here in materials telling me that he thinks like actually claiming other parts of the world would fix flaws in America. He's got lead. He's really trying to turn lead into gold, but he's an idiot, so I would venture that would be impossible for someone who doesn't know how to work. Things are really fleeting in his heart. We have both the Queen of the Night and Wind, which both of them are the same in many ways. It's about things being fleeting. Queen of the Night is usually about enjoying things that come by. As we all know, Donald Trump is pretty dumb. He doesn't have the ability to think about things too much. So I imagine he gets the enjoyment that like a child gets when they realize that things are real. Like we're talking about babies when they learn object permanence. So yeah, little flitting pretty things make him really happy. But the problem with that is that like Wind here is like super fickle. Things come and go really fast, and so too are his emotions. He just gets really excited about whatever he just heard about most recently. Is he gonna try to actually annex Greenland? I don't think he has enough focus to know how to do that. I think he thinks it's a really cool idea, and he'll also think that next Tuesday when someone reminds him about it. But I think that's all he's got. Not to say he's not going to do enough horrible things in the meantime, but he's just not a very smart person, so I don't expect anything like that to actually be able to unfold as a plan unless other people in his cabinet help him learn how to do things. Time for Tom to do his job and brain bleach this. Yeah, what a mood. Laura Norman, you are up next. You said that you had a general life reading. I would love to do that. Let's do that instead. That's the first and only time I think I'll ever do a reading for a sitting president, let alone this one. And that's fine. It's perfectly fine with me. I'm going to flip over for you, Laura. We're going to do a past, present, future. Zamilla, I want you to know that I really thought about not doing it. But then I was like, man, earlier today someone asked a question about time, and I was like, holy cow, this is so cool. Um, I did a really cool thing with that. I still need to go clip that. I forgot that. I said something wise and poetic, which sometimes I do. All right, Laura, Norman, let's have a look at your life. Move that up so you can see it on camera. Nothing went too high. That'll do. All right, let's start with the core. We have disappearance, fear of the irrational. We have 3. We have head wound. We also have broken time. So the chaos die strikes again. The chaos die's broken time face usually is saying that the things near it are out of order or out of the proper time, which is really weird because I'm doing a past, present, future reading. So I may, because it's in the core, try to understand how these things connect across time. Things that happen in the past might be equally important in the present or future. I would read this meaning that your life events so far and that are ahead are often very interconnected. You see the same patterns kind of unfold in your life. So let's take a look at the other dice. Number 3 here is really lovely. It is a really lucky, generally positive die. The head wound, which is closest to broken time, does concern me a little bit. Head wound really focuses on like very pinpoint issues going on. Some things might be bugging you right now about the present, which with broken time I'm reading as like being something that is probably a recurring problem from the past and it may carry into the future. It looking here with disappearance, irrational, and the 3. This is a square, and squares are an important shape for the dice. It means that they're equal legs upholding something. So it looks like some kind of annoyance or nitpick that you're really holding on to, something that's bugging you and sitting in your brain, is really deeply tied to things maybe coming and going in your life, and also a fear that a bunch of when I look at irrational fear, I usually think about things like arachnophobia, right? Or like the fear that someone near you is just going to suddenly leave you. And you're like, there's no reason that would happen. And they've never done it before, but you just are so worried that it could. But then we have 3, which is like luck. It looks like things maybe are kind of working out at the moment. So I'm so curious, like what the fear is with disappearance. So maybe we'll get some answers as we go around. In the past, we have loyalty to yourself. And then kind of in this triangle over here, we have copper and the train. The train usually is like people hopping on board with things as it's moving, and you just kind of gain movement with other people. That's when you see like a wave of people supporting an idea and you like join them, and it makes it easier to go along with them because there's a lot of people. That can be good. It also can be bad. I mean, it can do all kinds of things. But copper also is really conductive. This is from the Alchemist die. Copper really hugely focuses on this idea that you are really taking out people's energy and attuning yourself to it. This is a lot of things right here. I would read irrational, fear of the irrational with the train and the copper as like you may have been tied to situations because it's the past, right? You may have been tied to situations where people had really irrational ideologies or really irrational worldviews, and you kind of got taken along on the ride whether or not you wanted to. I do see that this is something that might be a frustrating sticking point in your brain because it's something that you were really like maybe even raised with. But it looks like it is leaving, and things may be going better for your life now is kind of the pillar of where you are at the moment. And I guess I can see broken time really tying into that if you were in a position where you really engaged with strange thought, whatever that is. It looks like loyalty to yourself was kind of the next event that happened in your life, and it was when you became more true to yourself that you could escape maybe this more harmful ideology. coming to the present, we do have insight or inspiration on the goblin die. The goblin die is usually about work and creating things, but definitely in the mood of this reading, I'm seeing this as you being struck with like new understandings of things that really go against what you were taught or maybe raised with, and that's generally good. This is like when the muse of inspiration strikes you and you're made aware of like better possibilities. So I think that like this is pretty good. Things are going in a positive direction. Your life is definitely changing in like a really positive way. I will say though that we still have like this square table dealy with these four pillars. That like the irrational ideology is one of the pillars, and it feels to me like the head wound is super tied. Even though this is disappearing and going away, it's still kind of foundational for your life. So I'm really hoping that this here is kind of like the new path for you, that takes you away from needing this space as your history. Way out here, it was kind of off the camera here, we have sacrifice. This was in momentum, which is this area that is between present and future. Sacrifice is going to be an element or a theme in your next, your next steps forward. I don't know what this little white speck is on the die. I'm trying to scrape it off and it's not working. Help! Use your magical powers from through the camera and fix that white splotch. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure what you're sacrificing, to be honest. I think that the easiest thing for me to read here as a potential sacrifice is like sacrificing the legs of this table, and moving forward without an original foundation to your life. Because though this is foundational and it's definitely there and it was like really a big part of why you are the way you are now, it might be time to just like lose that foundation and then try to build a new core understanding of who you are and where you come from. So that's kind of here, and that is the momentum that would take you forward. Over here where the obstacle die is emergence. I'm definitely seeing you in a position where recognizing yourself in a very true and honest new way to know who you are is going to probably be difficult for other people to deal with, especially people who were involved in all this. I also see hobby progress and mending of wounds. It looks like, just generally speaking, the near future here leads you on a path of like realizing yourself in new ways. You use your time in new ways. You take up new hobbies and things that get to be foundational parts of your everyday life. And also the mending of wounds is, I think, pretty self-explanatory. A big part of the sacrifice and the emergence here is going to probably involve opening some old wounds and also casting out some people who are not very good for you at the moment. So there will need to be some mending of wounds, but it's just all there. I mean, this is a pretty clear narrative to me of like coming from a background where you were maybe a little indoctrinated into things you didn't like, whatever it may be. You are stepping away from it. You're really going to gain stride right now. And in the near future, it looks like you're really just stepping away from it entirely. Yeah. And I'm not saying it won't be hard. Like, you're right. There's some difficult to it. But that's what the sacrifice is. Like, it's when you finally make the choice to sacrifice it and let go of that part of you and your past in that, that the rest of this can happen. And, like, this is just, like, the textbook, you leave the bad space and now you get to be in the good space. And some of that is healing. Some of that is a little painful. But, like, it's just healing and moving on in a really positive way. You create a new life for yourself. I really enjoy that for this particular reading, there's nothing in Faded, which is telling me that, like, especially for whatever weird ideology you were just coming from, it's a really good point for you to be like, things are not fated. There's no predetermined future for me. I get to decide what that is. And that's like entirely open for you. So I hope that that's a really good thing to hear, that like doing this is not just the right thing, but it's the only thing that you can do for yourself. And it's wonderful. And yes, the chaos die is, I put it in kind of the middle of the pile, and I'm not meaning to, but I do keep grabbing it. 1,500 miles. Whew. Laura, that's a lot. Well, I hope that you are somewhere that is better and safer, and I hope that you also know that um, physical distance does a lot, but it doesn't change the mental distance, right? There's still things that you can let go of, to letting it just be gone. And it doesn't have to be something that you're okay with for a while, to be honest. That's why the like mending of wounds was yet in the future, not right next to sacrifice. It doesn't just feel good right away, but it does feel good, and then it only becomes better. Hmm. If anyone has questions for the dice, I would love to answer. I'm totally not like reaching around and struggling on things. Boop. I'm like, I should put the link to the project in the chat. Alyssa, yeah. Do you have any recommendations on how to become as good as you at reading the dice? I'm a bit worried it is going to be too much information to absorb or just not having the gift. It's really funny. I was talking about that in the morning stream, and now that I've like said it out loud, it really changed how I think I want to approach writing the intro for the guidebooks generally. Zamilla, the way that I think about it is like, let me just grab some dice here. Okay. When I roll the die, the first thing that I do is I think about what that die is, right? And I think about, this is the summer die. This would take a little bit of time for you to learn a little bit, right? But the summer die is like the heat of summer. It's action, it's movement. Then I'm looking at the face. The face is the gains or the transaction face, like someone's paying someone money. So I have some general keywords. So when you have the cheat sheet cards, you will be able to just like grab this and see some keywords, right? And it would say like exchange of payment or exchange of service or good. And you're going to be like, okay, I'm thinking about this. This is transaction. That's what it's about. Then I'm going to look at any nearby dice. In this case, there's nothing else, but let's, for the sake of this, say this is here. So I'm like, okay, transaction. Over here, I've got the alley die. I know it's about a number of things, but what matters is the face, right? And the face here is scavenging. So I see this dice here that is telling me that people have to scavenge. You have to find leftover things in trash. You have to find things to survive with out of the garbage other people leave behind. These things easily connect to me. I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, transaction and the need to scavenge. These two speak together in a few different ways you could pick. And this way I'm going to say like transactional scavenging. It tells me that like you're really scavenging for the transaction. You're really scavenging to get paid right, maybe. You're working hard but not getting very much money. That's a good way to do it. Or I could say that, you're really working hard to find what works and at the same time you're being paid for it. There's a lot of different things that could mean. So then I'm going to look at like where it's at. It's in the core. This is really central to the reading. Then I'm just going to think about the question that the person asked me that I'm reading for. And I'm like, how do these relate to those? What I was thinking about earlier today was like every part of the grid is like a lens that I'm now looking through. So when someone asks a question, there's a lens over the whole reading. And now I'm thinking about everything through the lens of their question. So if someone's like, I really just don't know what I'm doing in my professional space. And then I see this at the start. I'm like, well, you're not getting paid enough is like step one. And that being in the core tells me it cascades into everything else. And then, this over here is like bad luck, and it's like sitting out here and faded. That would tell me that on this pathway, it always ends in like a bad space. As long as you're somewhere that you are not respected and paid well, you're always going to be ending up in a space where you feel like it's not working. And you might not realize it's just because of the money, but in the end, it is the money. Because when you're not valued enough monetarily, it also feels that way emotionally. So yeah, I think about everything as like different layers of lenses, and I'm going to start with just the face and think about just a couple words, and then how does it connect to this? And then based on where it's at, how can it connect to the other thing that's in the core? If there was another die in the core way over here, you just keep drawing connective tissue between the dice. And once you've led all the way across, you're like, okay, now I'm going to go back and see like what's the bigger picture of how all these things touched. Yeah. Laura, it got me to a better place for have some good support. I'm really glad that you did get out of that situation, Laura. It doesn't look like it was probably good or healthy. And additionally, Zamilla, like I am an intuitive reader. That's just generally how I've always read everything. So like when I'm reading tarot, I've absolutely just thrown myself into readings where I wasn't actually confident in what the cards meant yet. I was saying earlier that one of the things I used to do is I would read tarot at bars to people for drinks. And a big part of that was like I cut off the borders and text from my tarot cards I was reading with. And so I had to interpret through the art alone. I would read online and in books about what the cards are supposed to mean, but then I'd be there and I'd like forget what the 9 of rods is supposed to mean. And I would just come up with answers that made sense by the connective tissue between the cards. And it just kind of kept working, and I just really immersed myself in trying to understand what the connective line or story is between things. And that will always just kind of be how I handle it. I know not everyone's like that. Some people will grab the guidebook for the dice and they will read it cover to cover over and over until they know how it all works. And that's perfectly fine too. But I know that just for myself, it's very common for me to read a tarot card in one of my things or a face of one of my dice in a way that is not actually how I wrote in the guidebook at all. Because eventually I start getting nuanced takes on what each thing is and how it relates to other things. So I would say that is just me as an intuitive reader. I know that some people really benefit from like really learning the book or having keywords and flashcards, and that's awesome too. Whatever works for you. But yeah, that's the way I do it. I just draw connective lines between things and then start looking at what the pattern is. And then, if I'm not quite sure what it means yet, I'll like go up a layer and be like, okay, what's the grid telling me? Like, yeah, there's in the core, but is it actually kind of in the within area? Does that mean it's what they're thinking about? And then over here, it's like, oh, it's without on this outer circle. Or yeah, the grid for me is like my cheat of, I don't think I quite know how this works yet. And then I go up a layer and be like, what is the grid say I'm supposed to be looking at here? Yeah. Alyssa, yes. I am very sorry to hear that. I really wish that wasn't what was happening for you. Yeah, we were talking about going overseas, and I was saying that it seemed like you needed to wait until you had a really solid plan because going was going to be really disconnecting. But yeah, okay. The dice said it wouldn't be happening for a while. Yeah, okay. Never had anything like that. Can you help me by doing a reading how this new barrier is going to affect my life? That's a lot. That's a lot. Let's take a look. Apocalypse Girl. Tarot for drinks sounds awesomely fun. This might surprise some people, but I worked at a haunted house in Chicago for a couple seasons, and in the off season when we weren't doing the haunted house stuff, we met every Monday for drinks. So that's where I would do all my readings, and my friends would buy me drinks, and then strangers in the bars would buy me drinks, and I would do readings for people. It's a really great way to get used to reading for complete strangers, as long as the people at the bar are cool with it. Also, typically the person like tending the bar appreciates having that chance. mm, that's super true, Laura. Yeah, it's so much as practice. There's rarely like an easy or cheap way to figure out how to do something quickly. I think that my early tarot reading was probably pretty weak in that I kept making things up because I didn't know what things always meant, which is bold choice. All right, Alyssa. I am sticking to my plan of grabbing dice at random. So we're just mixing and matching here today. Looks like we have 4 dice from the Key Keepers and then 4 dice from the Seasons. Let's see. Ooh, he tipped. That die is tipped. That's so fun. That almost never happens. Because usually the dice scatter a lot, so they don't do that. But okay. In your core, we have syringe. Syringe typically deals with this is the weapons die. I should clarify. The weapons die is very focused on pain, or how pain is being dealt. Syringe tends to be really tied to things that are sometimes it can be about addiction, of course, but usually it's like very intentional, or poisonous in some way. That's really tied with self-reflection. And then right above that, we have the wheat, which is about harvest and what we share with each other. And then at the bottom here is loss. So knowing your situation a little bit, because you've already said a bit in chat, I think it'd be impossible for me to not read against what you've told me, right? So like what I'm seeing is that there's definitely a space right now where you're doing a lot of self-reflecting on like what you can make and provide for like the world around you. I'm definitely seeing that there is clearly a loss here. It seems pretty obvious that you're likely in some space right now where you're wondering what it means to continue forward with this new situation that you're in. Suddenly being, needing a walker and a cane to get around is like, where does this come from? How does this change what I'm doing? The syringe is tied to the self-reflection. I think that there's inevitably going to be a space where you spend a lot of time wondering what will be or what can't be now. And the syringe really puts it in a perspective like it'll be easy for you in the near future to fall into like, not depression, but like a space where you start thinking about what you can't do now. And I would really, be careful about thinking that way for so many reasons. No matter what's going on, there's always likelihoods that things will change or that you'll end up in a different space sometime soon. Things could get better. Things can get worse in life. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And so the most important thing to do is to keep like thinking about what you're doing and what you're planning. Just generally, not just for how you are now, but like for what you want to accomplish. Because when you have the concept of what your goals are or what you want to do, you can always scale up and down depending on where you are health wise or money wise, right? Those things can all change. So in within and past, I see competition, and I also see the scales. I'm thinking like there was probably something leading up to this point where you were spending a lot of time thinking about like how much you could get done at a time, how much you can complete. And definitely competition with the scales is telling me like there's probably a lot of time that you used to spend thinking about yourself in comparison to other people, what they have done versus what you have done. Maybe you tell me. And I think that coming up in the reading is telling me that that's something that's probably like sitting with you now, is like this whole wheat syringe mirror thing is telling me you might be thinking a lot about like what you're able to like bring to the table. And I think if you are used to being in a position where you are very, very self-sufficient and like able to provide for other people as well, you need to be like cool with situations where that's not as much of an option, and also cool with the idea that other people could also provide or support you in some way. um, Not to say like you can't do things, but like when you're like tired of doing a thing and it's really stressful at that moment, like it's okay to accept the help. It doesn't mean that you are doing less than them, and it doesn't mean that you need to hold yourself to a super high standard that only you can do this one, or if someone helps you with this, then they'll think that you need their help. um, like there's a lot going on. But be mindful of like whatever happens. Like you're saying right now, no one knows what's going on. There's full MRI, CAT scan labs. Like whatever it holds, just be aware that you don't want to hold yourself to a constant um, level that you don't have to, and you never had to compete to like do good at being alive. You know what I mean? I think it's really easy for some people to like fall into that space where they're like, well, you know, my friend, my sister, my brother, my whatever, like did this. I want to be able to do that too. And I want to be able to do that for myself. And I don't necessarily need someone else to handle blah, blah, blah for me. I'm seeing heart. I'm seeing some love and kindness and support, which is really great. Um, this is verging right on the future. So, yeah, I always help others. Gives me a little time for rest. Yes. But also, not only does this give you a little time for rest, your whole life should be able to give you time for rest for when you need it. This is not even one of those moments where, like, God's sending you a wake up call. You have to rest now. It's like, you always needed this. This is maybe just a moment where you're forced to recognize it, and it's something that you can, no matter the outcome of the health stuff, like, begin to bring into your life a little bit of balance and making sure that you're not always pushing yourself way beyond what you need to. The heart here and within, or without going into the future, is just tell me like you have the support that you need. And then further in the future, I do see home. I know that, we were talking about you moving. That could still potentially happen. It doesn't mean that it's out of reach, and we talked about last time about how it might need to be put off a little bit, but like the fact that of all the things we see home over here in a random bundle of dice that I rolled, and we were talking about you moving, I think that that's still very likely going to happen for you. It's just you have to respect that it's just going to take this long, right? We think about this as like a full line. This is your most distant past getting more present to right before today. This is like today going into a little of the future over this way, and then future faded. Yeah, I didn't know if you saw the kids reached out. One has been 2 years. Yeah, I feel like we talked about that too, right? Like, it was gonna happen. Like these things are coming together. You're still gonna move. You still got the peeps. There's still good places here for you. So as far as how this will change or be an obstacle for your life, I am seeing things that are like at the verge of like the ends of their timeline. So it looks like it pushes things back a little bit. But there's nothing here that says like your life is changed or ruined forever, right? I just see things moving back on the timetable a bit. I'm glad the kids reached out though. That's really nice. I just talked to my dad yesterday, so I haven't talked to him in a while. Of course, he called while I was on a date, so the timing wasn't great, but that's okay. Mm. That's nice. Oh goodness. I just keep seeing Apocalypse Girl's comment because your like symbol is blue and everyone else's is like a different color palette, and I just keep seeing tarot for drinks sounds awesomely fun, and I keep thinking, should I be doing drunk tarot? Should I have like a handle of whiskey right now and getting real drunk and doing that? 'Cause that could be fun. Oh goodness gracious. Someone asked B&W. Yeah, you asked earlier. Sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I even skipped you, didn't I? I didn't mean to do that. The chat just kept moving. B&W. You did ask if you're still here for a combo reading with the Misery Tarot, maybe with the intention of what to watch out for. And you're absolutely welcome, Alyssa. I love repeats where I hear things about what then happened. I think that can be really great. And B&W, can I feel like I called you black and white last time I saw you on, and I don't actually know if that's what it's supposed to be. What is B&W? You have to tell me. You have to tell me the secrets. What is your name about? I need to know. Uh-oh, I dropped a card. Is this a jump? Oops. Running into the microphone. Is this a jumper that needs to be part of the reading? Is that where we're going? Maybe. So, one way that I will read the dice is laying out tarot cards in the quarters of the grid. That works really well on this cloth because there's always 4 quarters on this grid. On the other grid, there are more spaces. Like there's 4 quarters here. On one side of the new cloth, it's in 7 sections. What is that called? A seventh? The seventh? That does not sound as cool as the quarters. So one way I'll do it is I'll lay things out in here. Sometimes I'll like go really far and like do one in the core and in each corner. For this, I'm just doing this. It just feels right at the moment. So these are cards from the Misery Tarot. The Misery Tarot is a deck that usually focuses more on grief, trauma, pain, and the healing journey. It's definitely a shadow work deck. B&W asked for it. Otherwise, I would generally only pull it out when people ask questions that I feel really connect that way. If they're talking about past, traumas or pains, I would be like, would you want to try this one out? It's a spooky looking deck. It's got scary art, but it's very much like, let's go through this together in the darkness and try to understand what's happening rather than just be afraid of the dark things, right? So I'm going to lay out the cards, and then, again, we love a random handful of dice. That was a lot. Well, it's what I grabbed. Ethan, yeah, you have a transparent tarot deck. I've seen one, haven't I? Or am I just thinking about 2 different games that use transparent cards? All right, let's see. Whoop. We have a lost die. He ran away, but he will go right there so you see him on the camera a little bit. We also have a little lost die that went up here. So I will bring it here just for now, and we'll talk about it when we get to it. Okay, starting in the core. Very separate from each other. We have prima materia and we have the cocoon. Because they are separate and one's leaning past, one's leaning future, I'm viewing this as like very much you were in cocoon phase in the past. You were really hoping to emerge forward. And in the future, it looks like there's prima materia, which in alchemy was like your magical substance that could be anything. It's like the super blank slate. You can make anything from this. So it looks like the general idea between these is a hope in the past that you would emerge and become anything you want into the future. Let's go to the past. Characterizing the past, we have the living. This is the 7 of blood from the Misery Tarot. The 7 of blood, like all the 7s for the 7 different suits in this deck, are about the completion of their suit. either you like fully finishing it and moving on from that house of grief, or you like becoming part of it. The living only ever deals with leaving the house, because blood is about hope. So I would say that your past was very, very built on the space of hope, that like you've gone through some things, you've changed, you've grown, you're ready to emerge literally from the cocoon or from the house of blood, transformed and ready to move on. I do see the rubber ball on top of it. This is the kindness die. The rubber ball is telling me that this is the past, you were in a position where things were still very, very fun and friendly, right? The rubber ball is like the thing kids play with, and it's not tainted and bad in any way. It's just like, this is goodness. On the edge of the card over here, we also have wood. There's another moment where I plug the cheat sheets, because cards in the third edition here, either set, come with cheat sheet cards for every die that color match. It's great. It's incredible. We love it. Wood is the resource that we can renew, which helps us make foundations. Do not forget to renew it for yourself or others in the future. Making your home and leveling the forest makes it so no one else can be housed. You were warned. In relation to this, it's like you've created a space where you're very hopeful and certain that there was stuff that's good in the future. The warning to that die is you have to renew that and make it available for other people, or else nothing's left for anyone else. We also have the meat tenderizer on the weapon die. The meat tenderizer says that there was some pain, like way over here near the more distant-y past, but it was kind of a general purpose pain. It wasn't super focused. It wasn't super damning. You weren't gutted. It wasn't great, but you came through it. You had the cocoon moment. You were emerging. You were ready for what's next. Then we have faith over here on the pillars die, which tells me that you had, I'm assuming based on the hope narrative going here, you had just a lot of faith in the hope that would lead forward. In the present, obviously, like I was saying a little bit ago, this is kind of like a through line. This is the more distant past, and then we get closer to the future, or the present, closer to the present, closer to the present. Now we're in the present. There's a little more in the future, a little more in the future, a little more in the future, and then we're like, okay, next weeks, next months, next, years. That's kind of how this works. So the betrayer is definitely here. The betrayer is someone that you had some amount of faith or trust in, who betrays that trust, of course. We had a lost die that went off of the map, which means that it is something that's coming around yet in the future. It's competition. It's warning me that there's probably, you will be like potentially betrayed in some way. That sounds like such a big, scary thing. It can mean a lot of different things, though. In this case, betrayer largely focuses on your ability to like plan for a future and think that you can continue forward. Error, YouTube is not recording? Is that what it's saying? Why? What is wrong with you? Who knows? That's not probably a worry for me at the moment. Maybe. Betrayer, sorry. You are being betrayed in some way by someone who doesn't want to see you necessarily move forward away from the things that had hurt you or left you in a difficult space. Instead, it's more like they want you to remain in hardship with them because otherwise they feel abandoned, which is unfortunate for them. Competition being a lost die in this area that will come back later suggests to me that that's probably a lot of the motive behind it, but it won't be something you fully understand until later anyways, or more importantly, it won't be something that matters until later, which tells me that this person may be someone who returns after you maybe go your separate ways with them for a while, and this is just kind of an important thread to understand, that like there's some amount of competition between you and this person that maybe you don't even realize is competition right now, that becomes that way later. Can you all hear that horrible buzz? I am so sorry. That is my drying machine. I'm gonna stop it before it does a second one. I return. See you later, Alyssa. Thanks for being here. Coming to the future now, which would be like, this could be right now. This could be like in the next days. This is the future. We're dealing with the next weeks or the next months. I'm seeing the bladed bridge. I also see heart and back movement. If I were to read these off the cuff, there is going to be something that you have to face where you kind of end up with the short end of the stick, but you have to go forward anyways. And unfortunately, going forward kind of sets you back, which is not very ideal. Basically, my understanding would be that you might be locked into a situation with someone else where, in order to fulfill something for them, you kind of have to walk yourself backwards. You'll lose some progress in what you were trying to do, and you won't really even come out ahead emotionally on that one, but it may be something you're just kind of forced to do on behalf of another person, knowing that there's like this betrayer thing going on. I'm assuming like there's something like either continuing with that, where maybe someone needs your help, and in order to help them, you kind of have to bring yourself back to a past situation that just isn't very helpful for you, but it could be very helpful for them. With prima materia here leaning this way, I would say that there's probably a goal for you in doing this, where in the end what you end up with is a blank slate. It may be that you have to like reckon with things that happened in the past, and that makes you feel not great emotionally. However, in letting go of this, in the end, like, you have room to try something new into the future. Way over here we have the wand in inevitable. I would say that there's definitely a space here where it's inevitable that you will be in a position that you have control over your energy and focus, and so what you're working on and what you choose to spend your time on, or who, in this case, it seems like there's maybe a person you have to kind of deal with for a while, that gets handed back to you, and you have complete freedom. It's fated. This is the fated quarter. We have the boogeyman. The boogeyman is something that I think is a lesson already learned by the time you reach it. The boogeyman is scary. It's the scary thing in your closet, but then, like, light just shines right through it. It's not real. It's fear, and it's the fear that keeps you from doing things. But my understanding on this path is that this is going to be your learning, that some of the things that are holding you back now just simply won't later, because you will have worked through some of the harder situations with other people already. And then the final die that was lost out in the beyond is the cameo, or the memento. Generally speaking, it is like a reminder of your past and a reminder of your history. I'm really reading it tied heavily with the boogeyman, that situations like this will come back again sometime in the future, in the farther future, but because you already know the boogeyman isn't real by then, they just don't matter as much. You end up in situations like these because people are complicated, but once you've done it once, you already know how to handle it, and you already know how to just say no to the people that you meet who are going to be a lot more trouble than maybe they're worth. So yes, are there potential things to look out for? I think so, but it's something that is a good learning experience that leads you to a place where even when it comes back, you're already ready. Dice. I love the Misery Tarot a lot. That's all. That's all I have to say. It's very niche, though. It's not probably useful for every reading, but it's useful for some. So who do we got? Who's still hanging out? Who wants a reading? Because I know you do. I know you desperately are just wondering, what do you have to do to get an Oracle dice reading? And I can tell you right now, you do not need to be desperate. You can instead just ask. I also wanted to point out, for anyone who missed the updates, that there are some new add-ons and new pledge levels. And look at this stuff. I made this so that you can see what's going on the page. I'm trying to become a real streamer, I think is what I'm saying. I'm trying to become a real streamer, so I have overlays and I can swap between scenes and show you different things. I love that you can see my next suggested videos here, so you can all get a piece of my life. Here's a Silent Hill 3-hour mix soundtrack. Here's a Warhammer 40k video. I don't know what that is. Lo-fi synthwave. I guess that might be something I've watched. The Misery Tarot flip through. Wow. And the soundtrack of Ocarina of Time, but as a prog rock concept album. I would click next, but who knows what would be on there. Let's not ruin the mystery too much. So, pledge tiers wise, I love that when I click things, it struggles to load all the images, so I don't really get to the thing. I added a pledge tier that's both the Goblin dice sets, so you can get both Key Keepers and the Season sets together for, it's like $4 off, but I was like, sure, I don't have a pledge tier that's just the two of them, so I did that. I also did the complete Goblins dice collection. If you don't have any of the Oracle dice, you can do $325 to get all of them, which is super cool. You can get both dice sets, the reading journals for both, the art prints, the wood boxes, the chest, the Oracle dice decks. It's just like literally get everything that's dice related. And because there is pay over time available on the backer kit campaigns, you could split this into 4 equal payments over 4 months. So if that is too much money for you to do right now, and you're like, even 2 months wouldn't work, like, you can actually do a pay over time that splits into 4 payments, which would be like 160 something a month, or no, 160, that doesn't make sense. It'd be 162, that'd be 83. It'd be like $84 a month for 4 months. So that's always an option. You can just see that I worked really hard to get through the math there. I have a poetry degree. I don't know what to tell you. Dice add-ons. I don't know that I added anything new here. No. But I did in the update section for people who already have the 2nd edition dice. The cheat sheet cards are now available as their own add-on. So before I had it so you could get the guidebook, which comes with the Lord's cards and the cheat sheet cards. That is still available if you want to update your guidebook. But some people were telling me they don't want to update their guidebook. They don't want a second book. They just want the cards. I'm like, fair enough. So it's $7 for just the cheat sheet cards. It's all 22 of the dice with the cards that make it a little easier for you to learn the dice. So that has been added. You know, it's funny. I have incentive and goals here, and I haven't talked about them at all in the updates, and I should do that soon. So whoops. I'll get there. All right, let's get back to the show. You all aren't here for all that. B&W, that gives you a bit of hope. Oh, good. Especially since I weirdly can't understand who the betrayer could be, but I will. Yes. Unfortunately, that's often how those things work, right? We don't know what we don't know, which is the most annoying thing to find out and be told. I'm so excited about the chest. I'd love one to place to store all my divination stuff. Me too. The fact that there's gonna be a drawer that can hold 4 like tarot decks is like cool. I could like keep my stuff in there, and then I could bust that out for things. It's not huge. I mean, it's like a foot. It's over a foot wide, but it's something that you could still like take with you places. Granted, it has like glass at the top, so maybe you don't want to like take it anywhere where it's gonna get broken. But I don't know. There's drinking events. I'm realizing that I really like doing divination around drinking. Your mileage may vary. But there's these drinking events in my apartment complex, and I've become very well known as the person who shows up and with like a tarot deck and does readings for people while we drink, because the drinks are free, so I don't even have to. No one has to buy me anything. I'm just hanging out. It's just kind of fun to do readings for strangers. They always have a good time. Hoofda. All right. Who has a silly question or a weird question? I'm ready for anything. I'm also ready for a nap, but I'm also supposed to go to the climbing gym after this, so I should not be ready for a nap. I should wake up and gain energy so that I can use my big strong arms for climbing walls. We'll pretend that I have really big strong arms, okay? Reading for strangers is honestly my favorite. I hardly read for people that I know very well. Like, my ex was over the other day, and I was literally saying to him, like, have I ever given you, like, a reading? And he's like, I don't know, I don't think so. I was like, interesting. We dated for a year. I didn't give you a single reading once. And that seems so strange. um, and then I think about my roommates, and like my roommates literally live with someone who makes divination tools for a living and who does readings all the time for people. I don't think I've like almost ever done a reading for either of them. It's so much easier to do them for strangers because the narrative feels more open to me. I'm more ready to say exactly what I'm reading. With a person, I think I also struggle. I really deeply struggle with already knowing them, and so I feel like I start reading a lot of things into it about what I think about them. And I'm like, that always feels a little faker to me. And also, if I like read something that's really like big or whatever, then I'm like more afraid to say it. Like, someone already here in this chat was asking a question, and I was like, it seems like you come from some kind of upbringing that had some odd ideologies maybe pushed on you by your parents. And I'm like, that could definitely be super off the mark for an average person, but like with a stranger, I'm more certain I can say it, and it ends up being true. But with people I know, I'm like, if I say things like that, they'll just be like, you know me, you know that's not true. And I'm like, just like strangers are more open books. The only way to get that strength is to pretend you already have it and work the muscles. What kind of strength? Kirby, what does that mean? Do you mean strength for climbing? Because I actually am like quite strong. I have really like dense muscles. I'm a little strong climbing person on fake rocks inside of the gym. I'm not like super strong, but I am definitely a lot fitter than I've ever been in my life, and I feel so capable and super cool climbing my silly little rocks with my strong forearms and hands. Good for me. Yay, we have 2 silly questions. I love a silly question. Zamilla, do I have anyone from the other side that follows me? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to interpret the other side however I want. I keep grabbing from there. I need to grab from over there. Okay, what do we got? Okie dokie, 8 dice. Whoa, that's twice. Twice already. twice that I've had dice get like leaned like this. It's so fun. Capital and ideals with lonesomeness. Fascinating. Do you have someone following you? Zamilla. I'm definitely seeing like isolation. Like anchorless anchor. There's like money. There's lots of money involved. The disappearance between body and material, the aspect. Like, I see other right here. This is definitely implying that you are like lorded over by someone else. I see something a lot to do with money and like an anchorless anchor, which is really bizarre. I got the chaos die again. The damn thing keeps popping up. It really wants to be in my readings tonight. It's because I told it that I never read with it. But I see you really isolated. Like the core is you in isolation, or you desiring isolation, I guess. There's a decent likelihood that you feel like you're being followed. Like something is like you have the experience that you're being followed. But I also see you like really leaned on by like money and capital. So I'm wondering if this is a little bit more like you feeling a little like lorded over due to living in a society where like your money is like a physical thing that needs. I'm not seeing anything here that suggests to me that anything is following you from the other side, but I don't know. There's something here. Someone's hovering over you. I don't know that it's a ghost though. Nothing else here is quite suggesting ghost. Though anchorless anchor is pretty fun. I do like that as a concept. I got the blank face of the D12 with the anchor. It's like it's just connected to nothing. I guess that could be a ghost. Kirby. I meant it for climbing, but I think it generalizes fine as a metaphor. Yeah, you're not wrong. Honestly, I'm not quite back to where I was before I quit climbing for a few months, but I'm pretty close. Like I'm going up my little boulderies. I'm climbing up and trying to campish and go just with my little arms, my delicate little arms. B&W. How does my brother's dog Pearl feel about me? You got to be careful with this, B&W. If I tell you what a dog thinks and then you find out it hates you. Let's see. All right, whatever this is. Interesting. Okay. Disability celebrate. The hunter. Do you get hunted by your brother's dog? Do you feel like you're hunting the dog? What's happening here? Is the dog vicious to you? Help. It's the falling moon. Are you playing with fire? Does this dog hate you? Help me. I'm reading hunter in your mind, so I guess your relation to the dog could be that it feels like the dog is always hunting you, which would be weird. Why is it like that? We have the falling moon heading in a body, but that's like time for rest. It seems like you'd like the dog to maybe just chill out. But you were asking what the dog felt about you, so I guess maybe there's more of the dog. The dog's perspective. The dog wishes you would chill out, maybe. Maybe you're the problem. You ever think of that? It's really weird because the core has like disability and like the idea that disability is being overlooked. And I'm like, does the dog feel like you're overlooking its disability? And what does that mean? I don't know. The dog wants to celebrate with you, but you feel kind of like a hunter. In its heart, the dog really values maybe some bad traditions. Maybe this dog is a bad person. The dog's experienced loss and feels a little bit lonely. Oh, what's going on with this dog? B&W, please tell us about Pearl. What's the deal with this dog? Why does the dog feel lonely and want to be your friend? But it feels like you're scary in some way. Help. I'm worried for Pearl. Hello, semi-sentient gay orb. I hope you're having a gay day. Thank you. This is the front side of the season's grid cloth. It's the season's grid. So you have the spring, summer, autumn, and winter, mind, body, material, and spirit. And then you flip it over. And believe it or not, there's a back side to it. And this side is the past, present, future, and faded, with history, foundation, momentum, and inevitable out at the edges. This is the season's cloth. It comes with the season's dice. It's really great for rolling dice on. Boop. Yeah, I love this thing. And in the Keykeeper set, there will be a whole second cloth with 2 new sides. The designs are on the campaign page, but I'm really excited for them. I'm gonna print them out so I can do readings on them. They'll just be paper, but I think I need to do that so that y'all can see those in action. Also because I want to do them. I haven't been able to work with them yet because they don't exist yet. But at least I have this. And it's so soft. Semi-sentient gay orb, do you have a semi-sentient gay question? Because I would love to answer questions. I was just told to do a reading for someone's dog, and I feel like I learned a lot about how much the dog needs a friend, and it makes me wonder why this person isn't being their friend. B&W, what are you doing? Pearl just wants to celebrate with you. I don't know why you're being so cruel. Don't withhold your love. And then I should plug the campaign in the chat again, right? I'm practically a YouTuber at this point. Look at me. I'm streaming. I've got displays. Boop. Oh, I should have done this. Look, semi-sentient gay orb. You can see it even closer. I'm so excited to have scenes that I can swap between and be like, look, isn't it beautiful? Look at this, look at that. You can even look at the campaign page, but we're not doing that. She's a rowdy and curious dog. She's in good hands, though. You're the weird anomaly. That's why you're the hunter. You show up and it's like, who's this freak of nature who came from nowhere? Ugh. Pearl just wants to be your friend, bro. That's all. All right, I'm just gonna kind of vaguely roll dice around until a certain gay orb asks for a question. Or anyone. You're all allowed to ask a question. Zamilla, stop it. Yeah, for real? Because Zamilla, one of the things that was really weird about your reading was the way that the loyalties die was leaning, and it was between capital and ideals. Um, if you were to read that back, I would say it was leaning on isolation and a want for isolation. Um, there might have been a question there about like what you were doing with the money and whether or not it was fulfilling your ultimate ideals. Um, if we were to say that it was your mother, for example, that's your choice on what you want to believe from the reading. But it seemed like some of the question was like, are you spending it in a way that connects to your ideals and supporting the things that you want to accomplish? Or is it being used in a way that doesn't quite fit with what she might have expected? The anchorless anchor could definitely be about her feeling like she doesn't quite have a connection to you as much anymore. Maybe the question becomes like, how do you create space that undoes the sense of isolation and includes her in that space again? Possibly. I do have a semi, yay, semi-sentient gay question. Should I focus on making things or advertising the things I've already done? You know, that's so cool. We love that concept. We can do that. And then Kirby has a question, and I love that too. That gives me two questions, and we have half an hour left. That's perfect. All right. Should I focus on making or advertising? Number one, I'm not rolling dice for that, but then I'm gonna roll dice for that. But you should just do both. I know it's hard to do both, but you should just do both. I say as someone who barely advertises something once I finish it. In the core of your reading, I see you putting a lot of your ducks in a row. We have order, we also have iron, and we have wheat. You're putting things together, and the things you're putting together are also your defense, and they're also your sustenance. I would say at the moment, like you're really focused on hunkering down into finding a really good foundational place for your creative work. You would like to move forward, but you're really focused on like trying to build the groundwork of all the things you've already put together. The wheat is great. It's what you share with others. It's your harvest. It's what you do. But it with defenses tell me like you're not going out to do more. So I would already say just in the core, it seems like your main idea right now is like, I've already done all these other things. Why do I keep pushing when all this stuff already exists? How do I make that into something that matters to people? In your mind, I see lavender. You're trying to find a space in your mind where you can calm and take your time, maybe for the next things you're working on. In your body, so what you're doing into the world, I should have swapped over to my cool reading zoom. You have the cocoon, and then you have the gear, which tells me that you're probably going to lead into doing it anyways. You're going to make more things no matter what. You're just inevitably going to do that, apparently. Which is fine, but you know, be a little careful with that. You don't want to push yourself too far. What's out here? Stress. Yeah, that seems inevitable. You want to make a thing, but the fact that we have the cocoon here and then manufacturing here is sure telling me that you're maybe not actually ready to make the thing, and making the thing just adds more stress. And I feel like I'm just reading this for myself now. Thanks for that. In autumn, I have nothing, but we do have iron leaning into material, which tells me that your relation to the outside world at the moment is trying to hunker down and really focus on the things you've already put together. You know, being in a very similar situation in some ways, I'm sure, as a creative in a time of where we're at, where it's hard to make new things and it's hard to get them funded, especially right now. I would say that you would really benefit from like hunkering down and weathering the storm of the current economic and political climate. And through that, you would maybe give time for this cocoon moment for you to like rest and gather your energy so that you can then make new things. Spirit, I am seeing heart, and I am seeing the rad suit. What you love is really great, but also it's kind of in a radioactive space in the world, and you feel like you kind of have to isolate yourself from the duty of making new things just because of how the world is currently. And that really sucks because it means you're separated out from the things that you love to do. But nothing lasts forever. The current situations that are going on will eventually end, and you will have space and time after maybe you push your old things for a while to work on something new and give it a chance in the world when economically maybe things are a little bit better. Assuming you're trying to make money from it. But yeah, I would focus on things you've already done for now. Kirby, can I get a follow-up on this morning's dice reading to help me focus between the two potential meanings I'm seeing there? People or career. Maybe a card or three from the misery deck to show it off. Misery deck is always welcome. I will say the misery tarot really focuses on kind of hardship, I would say. So, that in mind, we can always nuance the reading a little to make it fit a little better to what's going on with you. I'm going to drop these: embody, material, spirit. You know, I didn't think about it, but there is literally one card in here that's straight up just a large phallus. And I'm thinking about that in the moment of I am streaming on YouTube. At what point do I draw the large phallus and cast that down onto the screen during a live stream and then get my channel banned? You know? Oh well. Alright. Follow up on this morning's dice reading to help me focus between the two potential meanings. Kirby, can you before I cast the dice, can you give me a little bit of information about what the reading was this morning? Because I've done so many things since this morning. You know what? I don't need to know. I'm just gonna read what I see, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, in the core we have the balloon. To quote Robin Schiff, one of my favorite teachers of all time, balloons do not have good futures. That is what this die face is all about. This is a tribute to her. I love her. Robin Schiff is an incredible poet. And yeah, the balloon, it doesn't have a good future. It usually means that things are very temporary. They come and go, they pop, and then they're gone. It is typically a warning face that lets you know that while something is really good right now, it's very delicate. And the thing about it being delicate is it's going to pop no matter what. So just be advised of that. The situation that you're dealing with is a little volatile, and it's especially volatile in the way that it can just go. It can just go away. In your mind, we have the rusted god. There's no dice directly on it, but it still means that the mind is generally related to this. I don't know how grim you're going here, but I would view the rusted god as being championing your mind here as meaning that you are a little bit loomed over by the concept of these big ideals and traditions that are over your head. I have shock at within. It suggests to me that maybe the enforcing of this over you has been a situation that has really driven you to wonder like what's going on with these other people, or like maybe you didn't realize how these forms of traditional thought were going to affect your life in the immediate. I see social progress paired with honesty, and it's right here next to the skull on the fantasy die as well. I'm seeing that you're trying to approach your social relationships with other people in a really like straightforward and honest way. And I think that's when you have come across people really misinterpreting you, and that leads you to a position where like you're in shock about like, oh, like people aren't listening, they don't understand me, and they're understanding me in ways that you just don't feel match like what you were doing or saying. That really leaves you feeling a little left behind in some ways. The skull is typically like seeing a challenge that you can't actually deal with at the moment. It suggests to me that maybe your connection to these other people socially really leaves you in a space of feeling like you are not super competent in that like particular form of interpersonal relationship, and that leads to stress. We have the flayed here, which is typically just talking about being in a space where you're in a space where you feel a little bit numb to the things that are now happening. Your relationship to these other people has become really stressed to a point where maybe you're not even responding very well to the things that they say or offer to you. That's very complex. Yeah, I'm definitely getting the idea that the more that this happens, the more maybe numb you're getting to the situation, and that's maybe not helping any, which maybe isn't great. We do have loyalty to oaths here between material and body. It looks like the reason that you're staying through these situations, which might lean this to being about your career, is that you feel like you are loyal to what you said you would do. And so you're staying there for the people, you're staying there for the job, whichever it is, even though it's maybe in a position that people are really like pushing you away. Now I'm seeing the connections to your first reading. There we go. And then a material, which is very alone. I see the Hall of Blades. That really connects back to shock up here, because shock is the part of grief, the stage of grief that the suit of blades is about, and the Hall of Blades is the house of it. So you are kind of like facing down the hallway of shock and denial, this place where like you're starting to feel less and less certain what you're doing there. And especially with the balloon in the middle, I'm thinking like this could be a temporary space where things were working well, and now it just feels like they're not. I do see the diamond here in spirit really close to the balloon, which suggests that like it was really good for a number of reasons, not the least of which is maybe finances. But my worry is that if it's tied to the balloon, when the balloon pops, I would assume that that kind of goes. We have the lost in spirit. It looks like you feel kinship maybe to some of the other people in your space. I'm assuming at your job. But the kinship you're feeling with them is still like oceans apart. You feel like you understand them, but then they act in ways where it feels like they don't understand you back. We have the ocean's face on top of the face of the lost person, which suggests to me that like your situations are not as similar as you might think. And the depths of difference between the two of you, it might just be kind of too large. That said, I do have divine connection way down here near wheel, which is suggesting to me that there's something here that you can still connect with, but it's not going to probably be the people. It's probably going to be like the environment, the space, the culture. You're going to slowly begin to understand and come to terms with what the situation is. Yeah. I don't fully recall your reading earlier, but I do recall it being, like the rejection, the cups at the core. And this is mirroring a lot of that. It's suggesting like there's definitely a disconnect between you and other people here, where maybe even the way they're starting to treat you in some ways is leaving you in a position where you feel kind of numb to the space. And you're shocked that like this is how it's going down. I think you can come to understanding with the space itself, but that doesn't necessarily set you up for like a more positive relationship overall. I think it's just like you could come to understand it and then you could stay there, but is that what you want to be doing? I don't know. I suppose that's up to you. But it does look like kind of a difficult, not insurmountable, but like very difficult to overcome situation. And it may be better to like seek other options, unless you're willing to just turn it, especially if we're talking about your career, unless you're just willing to turn it into like a place you show up, you clock in, you do your work, and you leave, and then your real life starts, which some people can do and some people can't. I can't do that, which is why I try to start my own business. But I know that some people are really good at it, and it's great for them because then they can save their energy and focus for like when they're off the clock. Then it's like, yeah, you could stay and it would work, but it's going to require some amount of like pulling yourself away from the difficulty elements. It's a whole darn thing. Zamilla, can I get a follow-up on where Tom is? Mr. Bombadil. Tom Bombadil. Tombus Bombadilius. There he is. Tom. Everyone wants you up here. Nope, he's just walking on my feet. Tom. Come here. Tom. Come up where the people can see you because they love you. I could just pick you up and put you up here. Is that what you want? Probably not. Here's a cat. Now I have a cat. Do I get record numbers? Are people all going to show up for the cat stream? Oh, he's coming. Oh, he's coming. That's Tom. That's Tom. Come here, sweetie. Are you just going to look away from me? The people want to see you. Oh, he's knocking things down with his tail. Tom, say hi. Here. I know this is what you all really want, so we'll just kind of... There he is. Hi, sweetie. Oh. There you go, everyone. This is the real stream. It's the Tom Bombadil stream, where he is witnessed and loved and seen for the kitty he is. Aren't you, bud? What a sweet boy. I told the people this morning, when I got Tom, I went to the shelters and I was looking for a black cat because I'm a little goth and I wanted my black kitty. And I was going to name the cat Special Agent Dale Cooper. No matter what sex the cat was, I didn't care. It's going to be Special Agent Dale Cooper. And then I said to my roommates, unless I find a big, jolly orange cat, and then I'll name him Tom Bombadil. And I went to multiple shelters and did not find my sweet black kitty. Instead, I found this big, orange, jolly dumbass, whom I love, who's such a little handsome man. Yeah, yeah. And he sings, and he's fat, and he's jolly, and he sings. These are his traits. I love that Tom is named for a storyteller, and he's helped with these readings. Helping is such a strong word to use for Tom. I don't know that I would call anything he's ever done helping. This man is a menace. What are you going to do with those dice, huh? What do you think? You chunky butt. Let's see. How can I give you guys the best view of Tom Bombadil so that I make $1 million? I think it involves removing me from the stream. I think it has everything to do with just like forgetting what we're here for and solely focusing my cat. Right? This is how I make $1 million again. Yeah. Oh, Tom, you're putting your face out of screen. Yeah. Don't you know? Why are you crying? Why are your eyes so wet, baby? What's wrong? Why does he look like he's gonna cry? Is it because he's on camera? What's happening? Hi, Tom. Why are your eyes so glossy? What is this about? Is it because I'm pimping you? I'm pimping you out on the stream? Forcing you to make money for the family? Yeah. He's just having a good time. He's purring. He's happy. All right. Well, we've devolved because I was asked where my cat was, and I don't blame you. He's very handsome. In the shelter, his name was Mr. Handsome. So, you know, that's fair. He does have a little scab on his nose from his battle with his brother. I really want to pick at it, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be so patient. What do you think, Tom? Do you care that there's a little scab on your nose? He says no. I don't even know what that means. You have so much fur, you little chunky boy. Why do you look like you're gonna cry? That's so wet. Why are your eyes so wet? Oh, purr. Oh, what a guy. I'm gonna roll dice at you now. I'm gonna just roll dice all over this dumb kitty. Hey, we just got a new backer. Tom, that was all you, bud. You just made us like $100 because you're so handsome. Actually, our viewer count went down. Tom, what are you doing? Try harder. You're supposed to be rolling the dice. Oh, well. Well, my dear friends, it is 10 minutes before the end of the stream. I don't think we have any more questions going on right now, and it looks like I have a cat on my reading grid, so I don't know that I can actually do any more readings. Yeah, you little silly man. So, I think that maybe we'll wrap a little early. Oh, he's going to try to put a die in his mouth. Once he does it, he's going to try to leave with it, so you gotta watch him or he'll go choke to death on something. What's the most effective way to become a wizard? Tom, we need your help. Tom looks like he isn't sure, but that's okay. Under his butt, we have a die. Hold on. On the without, I see bargaining. You will need to bargain to become a wizard. I think we're making you a warlock here. That's fine. You'll have to sacrifice your heart. And then over here, hold on. Yourself. Ooh. You're going to have loyalty to yourself as you're bargaining with outer entities. You also invite them to your home for sure. That's what this is. The 3 is... Okay, hey, stop putting them in your mouth. However, you will be puppeted. So I think the easy way to become a wizard, the dice are suggesting, is make a deal with a demon. And you'll get really lucky with it. You won't get ruined. You will have to sacrifice your heart, but, you know, whatever. And, yeah, you might be puppeted a little bit, but, oh, well. All right. Well, for the last few minutes, I can't take this away from you. I mean, he's just a little guy. Why would I take him away? All right, Tom, what do you think? Am I getting the best view of your face? What's your best angle, bud? What's your best angle? Huh? Oh, what a sweet boy. Alrighty, friends. Well, I hope you all have a lovely night. I'm going to go climb a bunch of fake rocks in the gym and probably grab a cheap dinner on the way home. And then I will see all of you on the project tomorrow, where I will be giving my first clues for a wandering tear. If you don't know what wandering tears are, definitely go read the update from today to learn a little bit more about wandering pledge tiers and add-ons. And I will see you in the future. Ta-ta for now, y'all.